guys, this is the more in-depth information on how to do progress reports the way that I do them. Of course, a lot of this can be changed for personal preference, but this is just a quick overview of how to do it the way that I do it. One of the things you got to do first, of course, is make yourself a template or borrow the one that I use. I'm happy to share it, and I'm happy to share it any week that you like. One of the things that I do is I put in their first initial and their last name, their SID at the top, because those let me know who's replying to me. I put in their first initial instead of their names or last names, just because that's how I think it's best to do that, to keep it the anonymity. I always put a comment here about something going on this week, a very short one if I can. And then here's the grade comment. I always put it in a different color, and I try to make it larger by, like, let me see, these are all an 11 and this is 12. It's not that big a difference, but it does pop to the eye so that people really pay attention to it. I also put, we can forget about that for now, it's not a big deal. I put how many days they've missed this year, and then I put a comment about that. So if they've missed 0 days this year, thank you for always being here. You have missed 0 days this year, thank you for always being here. The first step to success is showing up, something like that. Or you've missed 35 days this year, you are this school year, you are severely out of compliance with the school's enrollment policies. Please call me so that we can discuss how to get you to school on a daily basis. Something like that. And then I also try to focus on something different every week that can help our students to succeed. If it can align with something they're doing, great. But if not, then you just do something on a whim. This is more on a whim. So like if we were in testing season, I would put something about testing here, and then, something like that. So I always try to put one extra thing, if not a few of them. Right now I'm trying to focus on my students getting to their graduation plans. I also always put the student calendar and little extra things that I've been encountering lately. So let's get going to the reports, because that's the part that people really need to hear about, I bet. So here is what I actually make separate to pull progress reports from. This is my progress report Excel. And then right here is my personal tracker. As you may have noticed, they are very, very similar. That's because I actually change the information and then copy and paste my personal tracker into the progress report, because it's a lot of the same information that I need on a daily basis anyway. So one of the big things is I always keep on Mondays when we get the ongoing report. I put that in here. I update it into my tracker with a VLOOKUP. If you need to know how to do VLOOKUPs, I'm more than happy to help you with that. So here's the ongoing attendance number for my students, how many days they've missed this year. So that comes from a different tab right here with a VLOOKUP. I do the same thing with the HS tracker. That can be a little trickier because we have that pivot table. The trick that I use for that is I go to the HS tracker and I copy and paste the title separately from the actual data. So I copy and paste the title first, and then I copy and paste the data over. So let's pretend, and then one of the other things I do is right here, where it usually says, right here it says fail count, course count, and on the typical one it says grade, like what grade your student is in. I delete all that information and I make a passing number. So what you want to do to make a passing number is you want to put equal, and then you select the course count, you hit minus, and then the fail count. So the course count minus the fail count equals how many they're passing. Hit enter, and then you drag that down. So it'll tell you how many classes your student is passing. And then the next week, when you want to completely replace this data, because I don't redo my VLOOKUPs, I don't redo any of the other stuff, I just redo the reports, and then I make sure to copy and paste that back into the next week's information. So once I'm copy and pasting the HS tracker into my own tab on my personal tracker, what I do is I select all the data on my personal tracker. I deselect the title. This is important to make sure that everything is always correct each week. and then I delete the columns, or I delete that data. I go into the HS Tracker and I copy the title again. I put it underneath the current title, the running title from last week. Yes, yes. And then I copy and paste the data as well. So let's pretend that's all the data I need. Oops. I took all the way over, that's for sure. So let's do that. And then you can go and look. I go and unhide all these. And then I make sure that everything in these titles align. So if, let's say, one of these boxes has been added, something's been added in, like they decided to put in a monthly course points right here, and so everything's shifting to the right all of a sudden, that way you can see that. And you can see that something's off. Something that I fix every single week for myself is that I, of course, changed this grade to the word passing, and I obliterated all this data so that I can put in a passing number. Now that I have to redo every week, and this is a great way to remind myself and to make sure that nothing has changed. Once I have that, I actually do this. I pull down that passing number, and then I delete the top row, the old row. And then I have all of my student data here. So I'm gonna actually go back to the current data so that it's not messed up. So here is where my data is. So then it all updates to the tracker here because I have an ongoing VLOOKUP that I only have to do the one time. I do spot check and I drag down to make sure all of the data does update, but that's all I do is I select them and I drag down to the last student to make sure that it updates every week. So I take all of this data right here, I copy and paste it over to my progress report tracker, my progress report Excel, and from there I can go over and use that data more meaningfully in my progress reports. So let's get rid of my there, and I'll open this up and show you exactly what I do. So here on the progress report, you'll see that all of this information came from my personal tracker. Oh, by the way, the student's email needs to be in it. They don't need to have their first initial. You could choose to do something else like their last name or something like that, or just their SID or something of that nature. But I see these both come from the 360 tracker. That's where I get my students' emails. So you definitely want to be able to send it to the student, not just like the parent or something. So you want to be able to have these on your on this tracker here. So what I do is I get that from the Star 360 tracker that Joe sends us every week, and I only have to put it in once a quarter for all of my students. So and then that already has the first initial for every student, so I put that in there too because I'm already copying it. Might as well do both. So then I also have VLOOKUPs that are a little more confusing. So here on the VLOOKUPs, I'm gonna hide. Oh no, I'm gonna hide this because it's something that I'm not currently using anyway, and I'm gonna hide this because I think it just muddies the waters. So I'm gonna show you how to do just the how many days they're missing comment, and the passing comment is done in a very similar way. So here I have the numbers 0 through whatever. I put 0 through 38 just because I don't have any kids missing more than 38 days this year so far. God willing, it won't get past that. And then my highest attendance offender will always have to have their number here. So I just do that as a drag down. And then, oh, that didn't work. Well, we'll do that later. Okay, so I have that as a drag down. I just put 0, 1, and then I drug them all down. Here is a comment from the actual what's going to enter into the report. So it says, as of Tuesday's report, and then it has, as of Tuesday's report, And then this is the comment that gets entered from the Excel sheet. And it says, you have missed 0 days, you have missed 1 day, you have missed 2 days, you have missed 3 days, so on and so on and so on and so on all the way down. And then it says, directly it goes straight to this, you have missed 0 days this school year. It says, after this, it says this school year on the report. Now, the reason I do that is because you want to be able to drag down this number and have it change. And if it's in the middle of the sentence, it won't change the number. So then it says you have missed 0. And then in the report itself says days this school year, period. And then it says a comment about that. It says, you know, if you've missed 0 days this school year, it says, thank you for your fantastic attendance. The first step to success is showing up. If they've missed 26 days this school year, it says, you know, as of Tuesday's report, you have missed 26 school days this school year. The compliance limit for the school year is 10 days. All students are required to attend school, blah, 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 blah. And so it just keeps going on from there. And then I do change those every so often, but not every single week. I do change the passing comment every week, but only for the 4 people, or only for the 4 options. So you'll see here that these are all VLOOKUPs technically. So these are all VLOOKUPs, and they are tied to that other sheet. Now you want to do the VLOOKUP not based on their student ID like you typically would with a VLOOKUP. If we're talking about attendance, you want to do VLOOKUP based on their attendance rate. And I did this in colors so you can see what's pulling from where. So here's their how many days they've missed. You have missed, you know, 0 days, 1 day this school year. It's tying to the 1 for the lookup value. And then it's going from here to here for the table, for the actual lookup table. And then you hit comma, hit 2, and it'll pull your comment for the appropriate number. Same thing with these comments here. You do the exact same thing. Now for grades, it's almost exactly the same, where for grades you're going to want to put a 0 through 4 because some students have 4 classes. And you're going to want to put passing 0 classes, 1 classes, 2 classes, 3 classes, 4 classes. And then right here are all of the aligning comments that you want to change. I change these, I always check them every single week, but I do change them usually on a weekly basis, but sometimes I'll look through here and say, I'm super busy and this comment still makes sense for this week as well, so I'm going to keep it. Every so often I do that. Usually I change them a little bit each week anyway. But these comments do say something like, at this early point in the quarter, you are passing all of your classes. Thank you so much for keeping everything at, You're passing all of your classes. Keep up the good work. Let me know if you need anything. You know, you're passing 2 of your classes. Let me know if you need help with getting all 3 up to 60%. Something like that. And so that's generally how I do them. By the way, there's one more thing I'd like to mention. You can put particular comments on a student's report by entering it here. Let's say you have a group of students that you want to target, like students who are getting ready to graduate, potential graduates. So for me, my potential graduates all have a comment just for them. And so I have a little insertion into the report for just that, and anybody who has no data on the report, it's just left completely blank, will have nothing showing on their particular progress report. So anybody who has a comment here will not have it, and they will have it enter, and anybody who has nothing here, they will not have it enter. So that's a really nice thing, and I just I like being able to do that. I also had, for example, during testing season, I would have a testing comment. And just for the students who were like testing the next week, I would actually write out a, you know, please remember that you are testing on Monday at this time at this place. Something like that. And I could manually enter them, and then it would go into the report. So it's a really great way to be able to reach all of your students and to contact with every single student and make sure that they're getting all the weekly information you want them to get in one place. So I hope this has been helpful. So, you know, being able to give a weekly update on your students and all the things in one place is really helpful for my students and me. Let me know if you need any help. I'm happy to help you guys with any of this if you need it. Take care, guys.